It presents
Just.
a remarkable development journey, which is which has been rewarded with triple dividends. Consistent high growth rate. The average growth rate since the 1990s is 6%. Rapid poverty reduction. Very few countries around the world, low-income countries, developing countries, have been able to bring down their poverty level as quickly as Bangladesh and as in a position as Bangladesh with so limited natural resources. And third, social empowerment, including human. So many of you would be delighted to know that Bangladesh, according to the World Economic Forum, is the most gender-empowered country in South Asia, more than Sri Lanka, more than India. Now, what has been the bedrock of this remarkable 5-decade development performance was private sector-led growth story. Manufacturing, exports has been intricately involved in driving that growth engine. If you look at exports since 1984 till last fiscal year, Bangladesh maintained an average double-digit growth rate in exports, 11%. Manufacturing, which was merely 5% of GDP in early 70s, it went up to 23%. If you look at India's, it is still hovering around 18% for the last 2 decades and hasn't moved. Industry, which is manufacturing plus, moved from 11% in 1981 to that of 37% of the GDP. And similar story for services as well. So this development journey has been very much enabled by private sector-led trade and investment. Now, investment has private investment, which is 76% of Bangladesh's overall private investment, has been the key driver of growth, both including FDI and foreign portfolio investments. It has not only propelled Bangladesh's manufacturing-led export, particularly in the apparel sector, to become the second largest in the world. It has also unleashed benefits in infrastructure development, quality, high-quality employment, technology transfer, and many others. And building on these, the growth aspirations that Bangladesh, holds as part of its direction forward from now, and the imperatives that Bangladesh must be addressing to attain this growth aspiration is what I discuss in the next section. Trade, investment, and connectivity is going to be the most critical driver of Bangladesh's journey to the upper middle income. Many of you know that Bangladesh in 2015 has qualified, building again on its development journey, the private sector-led growth journey that was stimulated in the late 70s, and that took a very, increasing upward trajectory to the 80s, 90s, and the early 2000s. It already qualified to be a middle-income country, as World Bank would like to qualify it as low middle-income country. So the path ahead is the higher middle income, and that's why Bangladesh will have to bring its investments, private investment, up by 70 percentage points from the current 23% of GDP to 36% by 2041. Our exports will have to go up by 9 to 10 times from what it is now, around $50 billion. Foreign investments, which is around, maybe we've done really well in many areas. FDI is one area where we needed to do even better. However, we haven't as much as we could have, despite all the potential. And how we get to there, today's outreach, today's effort is one great example. And this FDI, including foreign portfolio investment, needs to increase by 6 times from where we have now, around 0.5% of GDP. Connectivity, which is really the determinant of 21st century growth. Bangladesh will have to put in place 13 times higher freight capacity domestically. Bangladesh will have to increase its sea logistics container freight capacity by 7 times in the next 15 years. So investment up by 70% requirement, export need to go up by 9 times, FDI needs to increase by 6 times. Connectivity needs to increase between 7 to 13 times of what we stand now. And all of these is going to require participation of private sector, local and foreign, in a greater capacity. And that's what the interim government, as well as the parties which are likely to form the government in the future through the election, are all prioritizing. One of the imperatives that Bangladesh also needs to address is the impending graduation out of the least developed country status, which is at the moment 10 for November 2026. Now, whether it happens in November or earlier or later, Bangladesh will need to prepare for the loss of the international support that it has as an LDC status. About 74% of Bangladesh's exports may get affected by as and when it gets out of the LDC status. So product and market diversification and competitiveness is at the heart of Bangladesh's strategy going forward. And as I mentioned, the diversification, Bangladesh has done well in a global sector like apparel, where it emerged as the second largest of China. But Bangladesh can do far better in many other sectors. So it needs to expand. One of the important economic imperatives it has.
এখানে বিষয়টা হচ্ছে ইমন ভাইয়ের কি আদার্স কোনো নাম্বার আছে?
Export and economic base into many more. If you look at the world economic complexity, comparative position, Bangladesh stands at 129, whereas
any requirement by
are somewhere between 42 and 48. And Bangladesh can get there because the Vietnam's growth trajectory from where it moved to where it is now actually gives or imparts lessons that are that says that Bangladesh can be on that trajectory as well if the right, as and when the right policies are in place. Competitiveness improvement is the heart of it, as I mentioned. If you look at some of the global indices, such as Global Competitiveness Index, Bangladesh has made some improvement in the past few years. However, Bangladesh's position needs to improve many-fold in order for Bangladesh to deliver the trade investment and the connectivity lever that I mentioned. Now, okay, so that's Bangladesh's growth story, the trajectory, the growth aspirations, and the growth imperatives. But there will still be question, why Bangladesh? And that's what I'd like to share with you in the next few slides. Why is Bangladesh now the right place to come for investments as well as to engage with Bangladesh as a trading partner? According to HSBC, Boston Consulting Group, the country is well set to become the 9th largest consumer market by 2030. The growth rate is far exceeding the consumer market growth of developed or G7 countries like Japan, United Kingdom, Germany, or middle income or upper middle income countries such as Vietnam, Indonesia, and so on. A big enabler of Bangladesh's economy is a natural endowment that Bangladesh is fortunate to have, and many countries around the world would pay their own fortune to have but cannot have that because of the natural barrier, is the demographic dividends that Bangladesh has for at least another 2.5 to 3 decades, perhaps up till 2070. What it means is it has a very young and a high proportion of working age population. 68% of the 190 million people are working age population with a median age of 28 years. And this is a country which presents uniquely in South Asia and perhaps in Asia, a homogeneous environment, social, linguistic, culture, religious, and many others. So there is fewer country in Asia than Bangladesh which provides a stable, consistent, homogeneous culture, religion, linguistic, social environment for citizens, businesses, and our global partners to come and operate and thrive. Cost competitiveness and digital readiness. I wish it was far more advanced than the digital readiness, but building on primarily on the excellent telecommunication, mobile telecom network, Bangladesh now has 75% mobile penetration, 130 million internet users, and all thanks goes to our private sector mobile telecom operators, all of whom, except for one, are world-renowned global operators who have been operating in Bangladesh, and for some of them, Bangladesh has turned out to be the most profitable market in the whole world. Cost competitiveness, anywhere depending on the sector, one would operate anywhere between 10 to 60% advantage, cost advantage vis-a-vis our comparator economies. Vietnam, Indonesia, India, even for some sectors, China. This builds on Bangladesh's competitive costs in wages, in managerial costs, utilities, and so on. A McKinsey survey done in 2018, a McKinsey survey, it presents some of the emerging, at the point of 2018, it had a 7-8 years outlook. It presented some emerging strengths for Bangladesh and Bangladesh's global positioning or Bangladesh's global strength, which positions Bangladesh uniquely well in the current geo-economic fracturing that is taking place around the world, which is leading to reshoring, nearshoring, diversion of supply chain, deconcentration from several countries, including China. And Bangladesh position is well positioned based on some of these numbers, according to McKinsey. You see Bangladesh's competitive labor rate. Some say Bangladesh has cheap labor. I don't say that. Bangladesh has competitive and smart labor. And for labor to skill-intensive manufacturing and services around the world, Bangladesh is the go-to place, one of the top 3 go-to place for foreign investors who are looking for reshoring, nearshoring, as well as for deconcentration of supply chain. As you see, Bangladesh is one of the top 3, in fact, the topmost for RMG hotspots. The RMG weight 71% lower than China, or even 24% lower than Vietnam. Bangladesh's geostrategic location. It has strengths for those who are engaged in strategic geopolitical engagement, but it also has strength for those who are looking for regional supply chain, regional investment. It is the connector between the South Asia as well as the East Asia ASEAN markets. If you look at Japan's Big B, Japan's Asia policy, in all of which Bangladesh appears as the most important connector, in terms of infrastructure, connectivity for better, seamless market integration between ASEAN countries and South Asia and within the eastern part of the South Asia. Japan's Big B, the Bay of Bengal Industrial Growth Belt Initiative, is allocating billions of dollars to build energy, road connectivity, broader logistics infrastructure. And if you recall, Prime Minister Kishida back in April 2023 announced that Japan would be working with Bangladesh as well as other regional partners to develop the regional supply chain corridor starting from the Matarbari cluster in the southeast part of Bangladesh. So that presents a great opportunity to tap into broader South Asia regional market. The Northeast India, 2.8% of India's about $4 trillion GDP. From a manufacturing, supply chain, and broader services perspective, there is no better place to serve that market from Bangladesh in the entire South Asia. If you look at investment restrictiveness, I wanted to share with you, despite a lot of improvements that Bangladesh still needs, there are certain advantages that Bangladesh offers. If you look at OECD's regulatory restrictiveness index or measures for investors, I apologize for the very small, it's so many countries in that, but if you look at, you can see the middle, the blue bar,
জি ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম।
It's actually the restrictiveness is far
জি, জি, আমি
below
পেয়েছি।
average
আপনি
of
কোথায় আছেন?
non-OECD countries and almost close to
আপনি
the
সামিটের
advanced
সামনে
economies of
ওই যে
OECD
ক্যামেরা
countries.
যে
So
গুলো
those
দাঁড়াইছে না
Bangladesh
মিডিয়া
is
কাভারেজ,
much better in terms of its
এই যে একটা দাঁড়ান,
climate
আমি
inclusion,
আসতেছি।
its regulatory facilitation, but Bangladesh is very open for investment, and you can see that also in this slide where I'm just using as a it's not an exhaustive slide. There are many other sectors, but I just made an effort to highlight some of the important sectors which are open for our foreign friends, our foreign partners, our global friends to come and invest in. Only 4 sectors restricted. Non-traditional and perhaps not, something that investors would be interested in. The ones which are restricted: nuclear, forestry, security printing, the currency, and arms. So apart from that, any traditional dominant global and regional sector we can think of, Bangladesh is open for our foreign investors. Now, what are some of those high potential investment-specific sectors? Again, I'm going to present a few. There are many more, which, in the interest of time, I will not be able to cover. Agribusiness. Bangladesh agriculture is a sector where Bangladesh has comparative advantage. Ready-made garments, we have comparative advantage, but this is a sector where Bangladesh, for hundreds of years, have been doing better.